Michigan State basketball back in the mix for Darius Adams, the McDonald's All-American, 5-star. Who is their competition for him? And hey, how would it even work here in East Lansing? Let's find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below. What do you think the ceiling is for Aiden Chiles? Because that is what we will talk about in segment 2. A little bit more football talk in segment 3, but batting first on today's show. That's right, we're heading back to Breslin Center because we got to talk round ball because, oh my. Yes, this happened just before the weekend. Darius Adams, 5-star, McDonald's All-American, 6'5", 3-level scorer. Well, he's committed to UConn. Until he wasn't, he asked for his release from his letter of intent, and he is back in the waters right now. And we talked about it because, well, it's not just kind of somewhat a position of need these days here in East Lansing, but Michigan State was presumably the runner-up to UConn on the recruiting trail the first time he made his commitment. But now that's back open. Well, we talked about, well, is Michigan State going to get involved here again, even though they already added Trey Fort? Seems to be a shooting guard, the position that Darius Adams would play. It would also maybe cut into Teng's minutes a little bit more. And by the way, don't they want like a more experienced backup point guard? Screw all that. Throw it out the window. When a McDonald's All-American is on the radar, yes, they will go after him because Justin Thind of 24/7 Sports breaking on Wednesday morning that, Michigan State is hot after Darius Adams. Later confirmed by a few other sources, namely Spartans Illustrated as well. But look, that's not to say that Michigan State is a favorite right now. This is just the news that, okay, they are throwing their head in the ring. There is communication between both parties right now. And also, this is from the Justin Thind piece over at 24/7 Sports. I think it's important to point out that as of now, and things move very quickly, there is no clear-cut favorite at the moment. It was thought of that Alabama, right after he decommitted from UConn, was going to be that first team at his door with a bouquet full of flowers, getting his commitment. But no, there's no clear-cut favorite right now. Now, of course, Michigan State not the only team here looking to get in on this McDonald's All-American. Travis Branham of 24/7 Sports reporting that more than 15 schools have reached out. Amongst those, Tennessee, North Carolina, Maryland, Indiana, Alabama. And according to Mike Wilson of The Athletic, he's going to have a conversation with Tennessee. I believe it is either Wednesday night or coming up on Thursday. So, yes, this is far from a layup. Not quite a half-court shot, maybe more of a three-pointer for Michigan State here. Let's see if it falls down here because, well, yeah, they're going to need some shooting. They have addressed it so far this year with Caleb Glenn, with Trey Fort. But, guys, Darius Adams, dynamic player right now. And also, what intrigues him? What's in it for him if he comes to Michigan State? Well, he is intrigued, according to the Justin Thind piece over there, 24/7 Sports, that he is intrigued by Jase's season last year, how he came in, true freshman, one and done, could very well hear his name in the first 15 picks of this upcoming NBA draft. And it looks like that Darius isn't opposed to having some point guard minutes under his belt. So this is why it would be massively important for Michigan State to get the commitment of Darius Adams, who, by the way, a Michigan State team and offseason that I think has gone relatively well so far. Speaking of 24/7 Sports, they just dropped their finalized transfer rankings. Both Glenn and Fort get in the top 100 of 24/7 Sports rankings. Anyway, let's get back on task here, Matt. Come on. Why would he be so important? Well, obviously, it's who he would be replacing. Yeah, Jase Richardson, a 3-level scorer, a guy that is able to create his own shot, something that you don't really see often, not just in the college game, but specifically from young, true freshmen like Jase was last year. And also Adams, when I'm watching his film, really impressed with that high motor that he has. Can cut into the lane, really comfortable in transition too. And we know that, well, yeah, Michigan State, they make their bread and butter in the transition game. So he is pretty fluid with the ball here. Not a true point guard, but at least on the EYBL session or the eyeball circuit, however you want to call it, he does look relatively comfortable with the ball. Will that look a little different in Big Ten hoops? I don't know. I'd like that to be a future us problem, because when a guy is this talented at scoring the ball from his jump shot, cutting to the lane, creating his own shot, yeah, you got to get a guy like that if you want to win some basketball games. And also, let's not just, just completely skate by this. His defense doesn't really lack either. He really uses that 6'5" frame to his advantage. And yes, I think that would be a pretty good plug-in for the hole that Jase Richardson has left. I can't talk only enough about him. There's a reason he's a top 30 kid. Again, McDonald's All-American. And it's hard to ask for him to be Jase Richardson, but I think he could be, at his ceiling, pretty close to what Jase would leave here. So how on earth would it even work should Adams come to Michigan State? Now, obviously, I'm not the man in charge here. No, you got to drive to the Breslin Center. You got to talk to that 70-year-old guy over there and ask the Hall of Famer how it's going to work. But this is how I think this can work to start the season, because I think this is going to be a tale of two chapters here should he come to Michigan State. I think the season starts. Jeremy Fears, yeah, he's your starting point guard. He's going to get 30 minutes per game at the 1. I can see Darius Adams coming in, eating up the other 10 minutes at point guard, at least to start the season, seeing how that looks early on, because outside of that, you don't have many ball handling options. Like, could Trey Fort do it? Yes, but let's just go down to that shooting guard position, because I can see the minutes being allocated like this. Fort, 20 minutes to start the season per game. Adams, 10 minutes per game. And then Teng, 10 minutes per game. Now, at the 3 position, should Adams bump down there for a few stints? Maybe. Should Trey Fort? Maybe. But that's how I see it starting right there, is Adams just getting 20 minutes of work per game. But then as the season progresses, just like it did for Jase Richardson last year, yeah, I could see it working at up to like 28, 30 minutes per game to end the season, because close your eyes, dream with me here. Let's envision ourselves late February, still battling for a Big Ten banner here, getting ready for a good seed in March Madness. Let's say that, okay, it's still Jeremy Fears, 30 minutes a game, maybe 32 if you want to bump it up to that. Darius Adams taking away the other minutes that Jeremy doesn't have when he's not on the floor. But at the 2 position, is there a world that, hey, it's actually Darius Adams playing 18 minutes? Is it Trey Fort playing just 11 minutes, kind of, giving up that role on the bench, first guy off? Could it be Teng eating up the other 11 minutes at that 2 position? Could Teng's role get shrunk even more by season's end? I don't know. I think, and I've heard that the staff is very confident in Teng, but when you get a guy like Darius Adams, he is going to cut into someone's minutes here. Is it going to be Trey Fort that you just got, this super experienced, long, lengthy athlete on the perimeter that could shoot at a high volume? Maybe. Or will it be Teng? I don't know. That's a future Michigan State problem that I'm sure they are ready to address here. I am a little surprised, with all that said, that, yeah, like, it is this hotly contested on Michigan State's side, because when we did talk about Darius Adams, I was wondering, like, hey, this is Tom Izzo, a guy that doesn't necessarily like to go into the portal to recruit over his guys that he has in the program right now. And if he got Adams, well, that could be a guy that's going to cut into Trey Fort's minutes, a guy that they just got, but also, well, a guy they brought along here out of the high school ranks in Teng. Are they really going to just compound those players on top of Teng's development here? Seems to be that they very well could. But again, you also need point guard minutes here. If you get a guy like Adams that could do you a little bit of both, yes, please. I, for one, would sign up for that. Just because I didn't think that they would real go pedal to the metal over Darius Adams does not mean that I am upset about being wrong. This is very exciting news here in East Lansing. All right, guys, we're going to talk a little bit of football here in a hot segment. First, we need to talk everyone's ears off about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You already know that about FanDuel, guys, and especially when it comes to the NBA playoffs, they are right here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you will get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Now, I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy. Even during the games, they're even live same-game parlays. Keep every game entertaining, whether it's a back-and-forth game, like that Pistons-Knicks game over the weekend, or if it's a blowout like it is seemingly every time the Thunder and the Grizzlies have played each other this year. But anyway, guys, hey, keep it tuned with FanDuel during this NBA season. Again, new customers, place that first $5 bet. You will get $250 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Do not miss out on the action. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today, guys. Again, that's over at FanDuel.com. Before getting into football, I do just want to talk a little bit more about the transfer portal for Michigan State basketball, because going back to the 24/7 sports rankings over here. And yes, they've ranked all their players. And with that, they've ranked all their teams in their offseason. Michigan State coming in as the number 60 ranked transfer portal class right now. Now, of course, Darius Adams, he would be considered, I think, part of the recruiting rankings, but whatever. Let's just say that, hey, Darius Adams does commit to Michigan State. I think this is a great offseason for the Spartans here. And I know that number says 60 right now. And usually if you're ranked 60th in anything in the world, it's not really great shakes. But I got to say, I'm really impressed with Michigan State's offseason and satisfied, obviously, because this is how it would look this offseason. You got Caleb Glenn, athletic wing, shooting ability. Okay, that's two things that Michigan State needed. Because you need three-point shooting after you were in the 300s all last year. And Frankie Fiddler, he leaves. Okay, you want a bigger-bodied wing to come off the bench whenever Cohen Carr needs a break. You also get Trey Fort, a guy that's familiar with high-volume shooting, does it at a really solid clip of 38% last year. Really good catch-and-shoot guy, and that works pretty good in a Tom Izzo offense where there is a lot of pin downs, a lot of screens. It's going to be okay here for Trey Fort. But if you get Darius Adams, a 5-star, I mean, we just talked about him all for a segment. Don't have to go any further than that. That would look really good. But it's also what you did outside of the transfer portal, outside of recruiting, because, hey, just retaining your own guys on your roster, I think that really paints a good picture for Michigan State, because a lot of people can see, oh my God, 60th in the transfer portal, that's not good. Everyone is just doing so great, getting awesome players. And that's because a lot of times those guys had to get awesome players because they went into the offseason with about 4 guys on their roster. Michigan State, I know I've talked about this a few times. Allow me to do it a little more. This will not be the last time I do this song and dance either, because I think when you look at it like this, if Michigan State went out and, hey, you told me that they got a sophomore point guard that was actually second in the nation amongst freshmen and sophomores in assist to turnover ratio, oh my God, I'd be really impressed with that. Well, hey, that's Jeremy Fears right there, okay? You kept him around for another season here in East Lansing. And we got to talk that way because nothing's a guarantee, especially in the world of college basketball these days. But let's say that, hey, Michigan State, they just got this stretch 4, and at a high major conference, he was the best rebounder based on defensive and offensive rebound percentages. And yeah, like I said, can stretch it out, shoot the 3, endless motor. Oh yeah, that's Jackson Kohler. Pretty satisfied with him still being on this roster. And Cohen Carr, I don't even need to say anything for him. Like, you get an athletic freak with a guy that's actually improving in the shot department. It's not a complete, done masterpiece yet, but hey, you saw glimpses of it at the end of last year. I think when you add in that, yeah, you are keeping Jeremy Fears, Jackson Kohler, Cohen Carr, I think that there is something to be said about that. So it's a really strong offseason for Michigan State, despite what the transfer portal rankings say. If you want to call that spin zone, you want to call that PR, be my guest. That is truthfully what I feel. Believe me, we are no strangers to criticizing Michigan State athletics here. Go ahead and listen to yesterday's episode about MSU football recruiting if you want a shining example of that. Anyway, guys, we're going to talk about football right now because I've been sitting on this mailbag question for quite some time here. So I apologize to Trey because this is a simple yet awesome question. It is, what is the floor, middle, and ceiling of Aiden Chiles and the record too? So we're going to start with Aiden Chiles right now because when it comes to the ceiling, now we are going to start there. We are going to start on the sunny side of things. The ceiling is the roof, in the words of the great Michael Jordan. He really, has an exponential ceiling, if that's even a phrase that people use. He has the arm talent, guys, right? Like, we all saw it, okay? Throwing from opposite hash to opposite sideline, in stride, fitting the ball into tight windows. Now, yes, we have seen accuracy go to the wayside, but man, just those few glimpses that you saw last year, it was a roller coaster with Aidan Chiles. But when you're at your highs, you're seeing a guy that could very well hear his name called day one of an NFL draft one day. Now, it's not just the arm, of course, right? It is also what he can do with his legs. Just one stat I want to pull out right here. He had 30 missed tackles forced last season. That was 16th in the country amongst quarterbacks. And everyone ranked above him, except one guy, had at least 100 design quarterback runs. Aidan Chiles, just 77 of those carries. Most of them coming at the end of the season. They're trying to preserve his health earlier on. But yes, his legs, certainly a weapon too, guys. Now, what has to happen for him to hit his ceiling? This doesn't just happen just because, he's another year older. And, a few things have to work out here. And before talking about everything around him, Let's talk about the player himself, because, yeah, I mean, we got to take some looks in the mirror if we're Aiden Chiles right now. Like the turnovers, right? Like that was the Aiden Chiles story last year. He certainly buttoned them up at the end of last season. And, well, maybe it was almost to a fault. So what we're asking him to do is strike a very thin line between, hey, don't try to over playmake to the point where you are going to throw 4 interceptions per game, but also don't be so timid. Don't be so scared of causing turnovers that you are going to just hold on to the ball endless amounts of time. Just find a check down. It is a very, very tough line to toe. We're just asking our good friend Aiden Chiles to do that right now if he can. Now, can it happen? Can he tighten up the turnovers while still being a dynamic playmaker? Yes, he can, but we got to wait and see. But what else can help around him? It all starts, of course, with the offensive line, because last year, well, Aidan Chiles in the Big Ten, he was the 3rd most pressured quarterback in the conference. He got pressured 38.2% of his dropbacks. Now, can it happen? Can there be improvement on this offensive line? Yes, there can. I am optimistic about this offensive line, guys. I maybe not like top 3 in the conference, but certainly humming somewhere around average. And that is exciting because we haven't even seen average offensive line play, I think, in a little bit of time here in East Lansing. I think you would agree with me. Now, the starters, Stanton Ramel, coming off of just a high production season last year where he got a lot of snaps as a redshirt freshman coming off an ACL injury. He's due for a big sophomore season. Gavin Brocious also on the inside. Matt Golden, great transfer from Wake Forest. Luka Vinchik and Connor Moore. Okay, that star transfer from Montana State that Cincinnati and Ohio State were both hot after. This is only going to improve, specifically from the right tackle position from last year. That's where a lot of the pressure came from last season. Now, it's not just to say that, hey, that it's only the starters and no one else this year. No, you also have depth this year. You have 8 backups right now at the time of recording that, because the transfer portal's still open, 8 backups that got college snaps last year. Again, that's not counting Cole Dellinger coming off of a big leg injury, so we'll see what we get from him. And then Caleb Carter from Western Carolina, high production guy, played all sorts of positions. We'll see what we get from him. Now, what else can help here? Can this run game just please get off the ground? It was atrocious last season. You have to make it respectable, okay? You have to, I don't know, make the defense pull that 7th guy into a box and not just have them scoff at you whenever you line up an I formation or a power formation where you know that the run's coming, but they don't care because they could stop it with just 6 players. No, let's drag another guy inside that box there. Actually give yourself a chance at play action passing. Make it respectable. Make the defense actually fear something for a second when you do fake that handoff. And can it happen? Can it get better? Because the bar is 50,000 feet beneath Earth's crust. If the run game can't get better from last year, I want a lot of people fired. That would be pathetic if they can't get it better than last year. It was so bad. Anyway, guys. Now, what else has to happen here? What else has to happen? I think that get ready for this one. This is going to be high-level stuff here. You got to win games. You got to win games in order for Aiden Chiles to hit his ceiling. Be this all Big Ten quarterback, whether that's first team, second team, third team. And because, if you want to make an all Big Ten list, you got to win. Actually, guys, in the last 5 seasons, in the last 5 seasons, only one quarterback has won all Big Ten honors with 7 or less regular season wins. That's a long way of saying that you got to win in order to get your way as a quarterback on these lists. Now, that one quarterback has done it 2 times. It was Talia Tagovailoa over at Maryland. He did it both in 2023 and 2022. He still put up stupid numbers, even though the Terrapins weren't, this 10-win team. But if we're going to see Aiden Chiles on some all Big Ten honors, the whole team just has to win. Now, can it happen? Yeah, I hope so. We're going to get to the ceiling, floor, and the middle is of the record here. But, hey, we got to talk about the floor for Aiden Chiles, too. But, hey, guys, hot second. But first, you need to talk your ears off about Amazon. And not just Amazon, but also Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? That's right. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Guys, you could host with hardcore gaming experience, and hey, you know what? Share all your experience with everyone that you play with, and because it is quite simply the best. It is just like playing on an Xbox, but much better with the Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and the 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. Let's talk the floor here for Aiden Chiles. And I think this is going to be a simpler answer here because we've actually seen the floor from Aidan Chiles, or so I think, or also so I hope. I hope that he doesn't get worse than any of the games that he had last year. And the two games that I had in mind, because I think it's actually two different genres of floor, if you will. Floor one, like how it gets really bad, is the Boston College game all over again, where it is a few electric plays. Like, I don't think that's ever going to be gone from his body. I think every game we will see some semblance of excitement, of the athleticism, of the arm, the legs, but also, oh boy, followed by the most baffling decisions you've ever seen with a football there. He threw 3 interceptions that game, and it should have been about 6 or 7 interceptions. A lot of drop passes from the Eagles there on that slippery night of football. But yes, we've seen that be a floor for Aidan Chiles. Be exciting. But also, oh my God, it's almost like you're trying to do way too much here, and you're getting ourselves into some sticky situations here. Or floor two, what we saw at the end of the season, being overly protective, like being too scared to turn the ball over. And again, this is something that Aiden's got to work on between the ears. This is a very hard request, especially for a college quarterback. But hey, you are a dynamic playmaker. Don't be afraid to use it. But also don't go too overboard with it. Don't try to make this a 13-second play like you would in Madden just to throw across the grain and, oh my God, there's a safety and a cornerback bracketing on the guy that I'm trying to hit 35 yards downfield. This isn't good. No. So that's the floor. It's being too aggressive, too timid. So where is the middle for Aidan Chiles? I think it's just that Iowa game last year, right? Where, yes, you did see the interception, of course, but you also saw him smart with his legs. Overall, outside the turnover, smart with the football, using his big arm, and also being really good friends with Nick Marsh. I think that's going to be the middle. Hopefully we see more of that. Of course, we want to see the ceiling, but if it's just that middle all season, I think Michigan State is set for a solid year coming up. Now, for the record, what is the ceiling, floor, middle for the record? The ceiling, I mean, okay, hold on, before I go any further, I don't want this clipped. I don't want anyone to misconstrue my words here. I want to be crystal clear. When I'm about to say the ceiling, I am not predicting this in the slightest. I think there's maybe a 1% chance of this happening, but the ceiling, if you close your eyes so hard that you think that your eyeballs are going to explode in your own skull, you can see 10-2. A lot of things have to go right to go 10-2, but again, 1% shot. But that's where I'm at right there. Maybe your losses are to Penn State, and then, I don't know, maybe at Nebraska. You know, like I think it's going to be hard for them to sweep all their road games. It's going to be hard to sweep the road games with both Penn State and Michigan on the schedule. But bear with me here. Now for the floor, again, this is also not my prediction, but there is a world, and we know this is a world because Michigan State has been close to this record the last few years, that I think 4-8 is as bad as it gets for Michigan State here. And let's just talk through it. Like, you win your first 3, okay, Western, Youngstown, hey, you beat up on Boston College. That's right, revenge for last season. But then you lose all 5 of your conference road games. Okay, like, that's not going to be a fun time. You lose to Michigan. You'll lose to Penn State at home. It's not too hard to see that being a reality. And then let's say, you know what, UCLA, they also beat you too with Nico Yamialiva, however you say his name. But you beat Maryland at Ford Field to end the season. That's one way that you can see 4-8. You know, tough road games. There are no road games that are a gimme in the Big Ten, specifically on Michigan State's schedule. But here's where the middle is right now. The middle, now this is closer to my prediction here. You win your first 3. Okay, you get out of Spartan Stadium after your first 3 games, 3-0. That's great, okay? You win one of your games at USC or at Nebraska, because Nebraska's off of a bye. USC, no idea what you're going to get out of the Trojans this year. And that's a little tough to grow cross country. So let's say, hey, you know what? You get Nebraska, just one of those games. You win one of your last 3 road games. Now, one of those road games would be against Indiana, Minnesota, Iowa. Can you beat either of these teams on the road? Indiana set to take a step back. Minnesota, always solid, but can you beat a solid team on the road? You sure can, just like Iowa. And then you win 2 of your other 4 home games. The tough ones, of course, Michigan and Penn State, but 2 gettable ones, UCLA and Maryland. After you add all that up, that's a 7-5 record. That's closer to what my prediction is right now. And of course, this is a fluid situation as we go into the offseason. But right now, yeah, if you ask me, I would say 7-5 right now. So there you have it. There was one more mailbag question that we had out there. This is from Austin. Hit us up at Sheehan_sports on Twitter. And they were asking, Matt, how realistic is it for some of the athletes from Orchard Lake St. Mary's to be ready to go come game 1 without early enrollment? Now, there's 4 guys from St. Mary's that are going to be coming in here when fall camp starts. It's Charles White, linebacker, Bryson Williams, a guy that does a little bit of everything, Antonio Johnson, offensive lineman, and Jaden Savory. Now, those 4 guys, none of them early enrollees, just like Austin pointed out, in a world where I just expect guys to be early enrollees once they sign that national letter of intent. So a unique circumstance here that these 4 guys are still in high school, and good for them. Live it up. You're only in high school once, but will we see them ready to go come game 1? Not to say like it never happens, but I also just don't see this being a position of need for either of these guys right now. And let's go down the list here. Charles White, I think he's going to be a really good player here in East Lansing. They certainly wanted a speedier linebacker. They probably looked at the room last year and said, oh my God, does everyone here run a 6.8 40-yard dash? So they got the track star, Charles White. I don't think he's going to be instant plug-in and play, especially with that late of a start in his freshman season. Bryson Williams, more of an athlete, a little bit of running back, a little bit of receiver. He might be your best shot to go game 1 just in case they want to go the kick returner route. But for that, I could see them just going Christian McCray, maybe another freshman in Jase Clarizio, for example. So he might be your best shot. I still think it's an outside shot looking in for Bryson Williams. You have Antonio Johnson. I mean, just like we talked about earlier and ad nauseum on yesterday's show, I mean, the offensive line depth, that's a pretty full room. I would be surprised to see Antonio Johnson come in and just leap over guys immediately. And Jaden Savory, it's where it gets a little interesting because Michigan State will be having a visitor on campus coming up out of the transfer portal. It's going to be Kai Rios. He's out of Indiana State, more of a blocking tight end, spot starter. He started 4 games. Started 4 games out of the 12 he played in. There we go, nailed it. But yeah, I do wonder if they want another tight end to step up in that room with Michael Masunas, Jack Belling, Brennan Parachek seem to be solidified as your top 3. Save any of them go in the transfer portal. But yeah, I don't know if he jumps over a Wyatt Hook. I don't know the desperation need for another tight end, but since they're targeting one in the transfer portal, perhaps there are snaps available there. But yeah, again, like that is a late jump for these kids, especially, how fast college is compared to the high school games. So it's a great question. I would be surprised. I would be surprised, especially week 1 against Western Michigan. All right, guys. Hey, thanks a ton. Tuning in. Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back tomorrow. You already know it. Love you all. Go green.